Hey y'all, this is BG Codes and I am bradgarropy. In the previous video, I taught you about loaders in webpack, specifically the TypeScript loader. And in this video, I'm going to be covering CSS loaders so that you can load CSS, Sass, or SCSS into your webpack bundle. As always, the starter code will be on GitHub and it'll be linked in the description below. So let's get started. In the last video, we left off with our TypeScript bundle logging hello world to the console. And so in this video, we're going to be doing CSS. So the first thing that we need to do is create a styles.css file. And let's just add in something really basic. We'll style the body and we'll put a background color of purple or Rebecca purple. I like Rebecca purple. And now in Webpack, the way that we actually bring different file types into our bundle is by importing them in JavaScript files. So you've probably seen this before in React projects where you want to import, and in this case, we'll import styles.css directly into our Webpack configuration. Now you're going to see here, this is an error. That's because we haven't defined loaders for .css files at all. Now what's interesting in Webpack, CSS files have two different loaders. One loader is the CSS loader. And this loader is going to actually parse your .css file, resolve things like @import statements, URL function calls, things like that. And that's going to parse the CSS into like this big raw string. And then you need a second loader called style loader to take those parsed styles and inject them into the head of the document. So let's work on that. The first thing we're going to have to do is install these loaders. So we will run npm install, and of course this is going to be only for development. It's a development dependency. We'll install the style loader, which loads parse CSS into the head, as well as the CSS loader, which is going to actually parse the CSS. Now, once this is done, we can actually update our Webpack config in these module rules to run specific loaders on CSS files. So let's just duplicate this TypeScript loader and kind of modify it a little bit for CSS. So the first thing we need to write is the test. Which files do we run these loaders on? In this case, we're going to run this on CSS files. And like I said, CSS requires two different loaders to pull it in and parse it into Webpack. So the first one is style loader and the second one is CSS loader. Now, the important thing to note is that loaders are actually run in reverse order in Webpack. So in this configuration, CSS loader will run first and its output will be passed to style loader. It's a chain of loaders. So first you need to parse the CSS and then you need to inject it into the head. Kind of funny. So now that we have that, I believe we can start our development server, go back to our page, and hopefully we'll have a purple background. Great. So that's how you load basic .css files into Webpack. But you're probably not using vanilla CSS. You probably want to use Sass or SCSS. That's just one of the popular CSS preprocessors. So let me show you how to get that done. The first thing that we'll do then is we will change the name of this file. Let's just start off basic. We'll do SCSS, which is very similar to CSS. And then in our index.js file, instead of importing the CSS file, we'll import the SCSS file. And now in order to load Sass, we're going to need to add one more loader to our project. So we will npm install as a development dependency, Sass and Sass loader. And now that these are installed, we can update our Webpack configuration to actually operate on SCSS files. And finally, we'll add one more loader to the chain. This is where we want Sass loader. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to parse Sass and turn it into CSS. Then It's going to resolve the raw CSS values into strings, and then it'll use style loader to inject that into the head of the document. This chain is getting longer and longer because we added a CSS pre-process step. So we've got what we need. You'll see that we are actually using SCSS here. And actually, just to prove this out, that's fine. This will work. So here we go. Now we actually have SCSS loading on the page. And now, go one step further. What if you prefer Sass so that you can use nesting and you can drop your curly braces and remove all your semicolons and things like that? Let's see what that's going to look like. So we already have the Sass loader installed, which handles both SCSS and SASS. So now what we need to do if we want to use Sass is just rename this to a .sass file. In our webpack, let's actually make this resolve both SCSS and SASS files. So it will do both. This is just a regex that says either A or C can be in this position. Then we need to change our import, of course, from SCSS to Sass. And right now, Webpack is complaining because it says, hey, we don't like the fact that you're actually using curly braces and semicolons. And now I need to restart Webpack in order to pick up that brand new loader. And now here we go. After I refresh, we still have a page with a purple background. Okay, so that's just a brief introduction on how to bring CSS, SCSS, and Sass into your project. That's probably, the types of CSS that you're going to be using, your basic, most popular CSS preprocessors. Thank you for watching this video. This is BG Codes, and I am Brad Garropy. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.